The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. This is Jennifer Schaus coming to you live from Washington, D.C., and thank you for joining us in our Webinar Wednesday series. We conduct a webinar every Wednesday throughout the entire year, and we focus on various government contracting topics. Our speakers and presenters are industry experts. This includes accountants, attorneys, and other industry experts. The full schedule of our webinars is on our website under the webinar section, and all of the recordings are under the archived webinar section. If you follow us on YouTube, we've got a YouTube channel that also has the comprehensive list of the webinars that we've done over the last, I think, 4 or 5 years. So there's about 100 plus webinars on that channel. Today we are joined by Eileen Kent, and she's going to be talking about what an under the radar opportunity is. But real quick, just wanted to share a little bit of information about us. We are based in downtown DC and provide professional services for federal contractors who are both product and service companies. Some of our services are listed here on this slide, ranging from GSA schedules, which is what we are most known for, and other services here. We do host these webinars, as I mentioned, throughout the year, every single Wednesday, and we do hold networking events and seminars as well. If you're local to the DC area, our networking events are typically at the John F. Kennedy Center, and we just wrapped one up on Monday night with the U.S. Air Force and GSA. I had to think who was there, and about 200 attendees. More information about our services, our events, webinars, and some good resources for government contractors are listed on our website. Here's some background about Eileen, who is kind enough to join us today. And she's going to be talking again about an under the radar opportunity, which is something that most government contractors talk about and want to explore, but she'll dig in a little bit deeper and share some of her wisdom and fantastic knowledge. So I'm going to turn the microphone over to Eileen, and Eileen, the group is all yours. So thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. Hello, everyone. My name is Eileen Kent, and I just wanted to thank you for taking the time today to learn about under the radar opportunities. Before we begin, I just wanted to give you, I saw that you saw my slide there of my background, but I wanted to give you just a little bit of history so that you understand that I know where you're coming from and looking for under the radar opportunities. Because when I was first selling to the feds, I was handed a GSA schedule that my company had just been awarded and told, okay, go sell to the feds. You're going on a Lewis and Clark expedition. And I kind of giggled because it felt like, up a creek without a paddle. I had no idea where to begin, what to do, how to go after the business. So I was given a round trip ticket to go pretty much anywhere around the country to find opportunities with the federal government right after 9/11. I traveled to DC. I'm based out of Chicago, so I traveled to DC, Dallas, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Northern and Southern California, Las Vegas, and back again, DC, Chicago, Atlanta, Dallas. And I was literally cold calling and walking the halls of the federal government. And as I was talking to people and uncovering contacts, they kept telling me, go to fedbizops.gov, fpo.gov, go to fedbizops, go to fedbizops. But then quickly, as I was still working on developing relationships inside the government, I uncovered a lead that had to do with the Transportation Security Administration. And they asked me to come to DC and talk to them about what we had to offer. Now, they had already done business with my competitor for all their 400 locations that they had just opened. But that client was not happy with the vendor they were using. And she decided basically to stick it to that other company and give me all her contacts at the new Office of Homeland Security. So when I was meeting with Homeland Security and talking to them about the offices they were about to open, that was right in the middle of when the alarm system of the color coding went to orange, where things were a little bit scarier around 2002. And while everybody was on alert for something to go on, I was meeting with the Homeland Security facilities team at coffee shops, at undisclosed locations, looking at their space and delivering under the radar. Now, I had no past performance with the federal government at the time. My competitor was the big boys. They had tons of past performance. But because of that recommendation going in, they were determined not to use that other company because of the person at TSA that wasn't happy. And they decided to work with me. I had no past performance with the federal government. So they basically asked me, what do you have? And I actually had recently delivered a whole bunch of work with Boeing. And they were able to open up the specs just a little bit by saying, you must have past performance with the government or similar size and scope with a commercial company that's a prime contractor with the federal government. They wrote that with me specifically in mind. And within a week, I was delivering under the radar, quickly, quietly. My competitors couldn't touch me. So I suddenly realized this isn't a game of writing proposals. This is a game of relationships, introductions, and under the radar opportunities. Next slide, please. So what is an under the radar opportunity? I'm sure that you've been reading on LinkedIn, on, GovExec and NextGov and some of these publications that are out there, GovCon, and some of the experts like Jennifer and myself and others. We keep saying, what's on your radar? What are the opportunities you're looking at? And many times companies are digging around the procurement forecast at the website at the agency, or they're watching Fed BizOps, or they're paying a company a lot of money to have bids sent to them, and they're seeing source of thought, and they're seeing RFIs, and those are things they're putting on their radar. What I'm talking about is under the radar. It's never going to hit Fed BizOps. It's never going to hit the procurement forecast. These are opportunities where they know you and you know them, and you have exactly what they told you they wanted, and they're actually trying to wrangle or find a way to work with you directly without the noise, the hassle, the public view of Fed BizOps or other contract vehicles that might be still a little bit public. Next slide, please. They know you. You know them. What do we mean by they know you? I'm not just saying, well, they should know who I am because I'm the best at what I do. No, they need to know you personally. They need to know every nuance of your business and your best values. So let's talk for just a moment about your best values, because best values are reasons why they can choose you over another contractor, potentially at a higher price. They can even justify it. So what are best values that the government might consider why they might be able to provide an under the radar opportunity for you? In services, it might be because you have the project manager that they know and trust. Maybe you went into that agency and it turned out your project manager knows the project coordinator or the end user on the inside because they went to school together or they worked at a company together before. And they don't even know what they want yet, but they know they're struggling with something, and you've got that expert on your team. Sure, the bid might say how many years of education that person has or how much experience, but you have the person, the expert. Another type of best value that you could sell yourselves about is something that you develop, and it might be a combination of things. Maybe you're selling products just like everybody else, but maybe you have a way to get that product into customers' hands faster. For example, you might stock some things. You might stock more things than the other guys do. Maybe your warehouse is closer to the customer than the other companies. You can sell the fact that you're local and speed if you're selling products to someone. Now, you can also, a best value could be a name brand of a product. Now, in the government, they have to search or do a market research for name brand or equivalent, but you know they want that name brand. So if you have the name brand and you're only one of the couple vendors who has it, you're only 5 minutes away from that base, and you can hand deliver it tomorrow, you're what they would call a unique source. If you have a certain expertise or subject matter expertise, maybe they saw you as a keynote speaker and they thought, boy, I want that person to do that training at my office. Well, your uniqueness is the outline or the training program that you've already copywritten. Everybody else, they have to build something if they go up against you, but you've already got it. They've already seen you. They want you. So best values can be a wide variety of things. It could be your expertise, your education, your safety record, and your past performance with other agencies nearby. Or if they see that you don't have any government past performance, but you've worked with a couple of name brand known commercial companies, they might open up that past performance to include commercial, equal size and scope. That means they're opening the door for you just a little bit. I come from a family of guppies, and my eldest brother was one of the original designers of the stealth fighter. So can you even imagine? I mean, over there in Wright-Patterson, they've known him, he worked there. Well, he started his own company with 3 doctorates in aerospace and a receptionist. How in the world was he going to compete against Boeing and Lockheed? Well, his best value was 75% of our employees have their doctorates in aerospace. So all Wright-Patterson had to do was put that best value in the specs or use it to justify why just them, because they really wanted those 3 people on this project because they were the only ones who had the expertise to solve a certain problem. So as they grew their business, they used that best value. As they grew and grew and grew, they kept their numbers to 75% of their employees had their doctorates in aerospace. So that was the only best value that they could knock out the big boys over. So you determine your best values, and you have to communicate that to your customer and get them to memorize it. Oh, these are the guys who 75% of their employees have their doctorates in aerospace, and these are the people who have these 3 experts that we need on this job. It's pretty much a no-brainer on their side. And they know you to the fact that it's in their bones. They know you personally. They know your capabilities. Maybe they visited your warehouse, saw how you deliver, saw how you package things. They've used you before through the primes. Then they know your set-asides and your contract vehicles. So many companies have certain set-asides. 8A is minority-owned set-aside, and service disabled vet is a set-aside. HubZone is a set-aside. It allows them to be able to limit the number of competitors and only allow those couple of companies to bid, if not sole source it to them, which means there's no competition whatsoever. They need to know what your set-asides are, so it makes it easier for them to work with you. Also, you might have a contract bridge, or they call them contract vehicles. I call them bridges because it's a bridge. It sits there with nothing until you push a task through it. So do you have the contract vehicle that they're comfortable using? Are they used to using GSA schedules and you have one? And the big question is do they know what schedule you're on and what category you're under? You need to direct them specifically, because if they accidentally go to a different category, you won't be able to bid on it. So they need to not only just know the company name, they need to know everything about you. Next slide, please. So, and you know them. Now, there's a little saying that getting to know the federal government has to do with, it's kind of like unpeeling an onion, they say. And my job and Jennifer's job is to cut that onion in half and show it to you from the side and point at the key contacts that you really need to know. You need to know the contracting officers and their preferred methods of purchasing. They know their own rules better than anybody else. Sure, there's the FAR that they follow, but they use their own interpretation of the FAR. So one contracting officer might like to use GSA schedules, but the agency might say, no, we're not using GSA schedules anymore. We're using GSA's, government-wide contract, GWACs. Or maybe that we're going to use our own contract vehicles. Maybe it's Homeland Security and it's Eagle too. Maybe they have their own indefinite delivery contract vehicles. We need to know what those contract vehicles are and their preferred method of buying. And if we don't have that ability to get to them that way, we need to find a partner who does. The contracting specialists are usually the POCs on bids, but they also sometimes have specialties within their agencies. So in some contracting offices, The specialist one might be good at facilities, while another one does staffing, while another one does IT products, while another one does construction. So some of the contracting specialists have specialties, and in some contracting offices, they just pick from the top. So you got to get to know everybody. So the contracting office is critically important for you to know and to understand their preferred methods of purchasing and just basically what their processes are. But most importantly, you need to find end users, project managers, program managers. If you're selling training, you need to know the training people and the HR people. If you're selling IT products and services, you need to know the CIO, the Office of IT. You need to know it either on a regional level, a national level, or a local level. Depending on the agency you're calling on, you need to know the end users. If you're selling the facilities, you need to know those people on the inside. If you are calling on the VA, for example, the facilities department is located within the engineering department. Those people need to know who you are, your capabilities, your best values, your contracting methods, and they need to know you personally because they work with people they know, trust, and love, and they will stick with their incumbents until you woo them away or until you're able to provide a service that the incumbent's not able to provide. You found a wedge issue that's unique to you. So those end users, that relationship with the end user is absolutely critical for under the radar opportunities because they're going to be the ones behind closed doors puzzling with the contracting officers to figure out a way to get the vendor they know, trust, and love. And hopefully that's you. You also need to know who the incumbent prime contractor is because there might be times where the contracting team is going to walk you over to that incumbent and ask you to team with them and for you to borrow a lane on their contract bridge. So sure, you're going to pay them a little toll for working with them, but still it's an under the radar deal. It never hits the streets because you're subbing to the current prime. It's a simple modification of the contract. So if they really want you and they know you and you know them, and there's urgency for what you're going to solve, the problem you're going to solve, they're going to give you an under the radar opportunity. Next slide, please. So also, you need to have exactly what they told you they wanted. So how do you uncover this? It's going to be months or a year or so of conversations you're having with them. You're going to get to know each other. The first calls are going to be total rejection calls. We don't need you, we don't need you, we don't need you, we don't need you. Suddenly they go, we need you now. Because in every one of those calls, emails, voicemails, you've given them a little bit more information about what you're good at, what problems you solve, and they're going to start memorizing what you do. Maybe they'll talk to you, they'll have you come in and do a briefing, they'll talk to you offline about a project. Then they're going to introduce you to somebody else. Then you're going to have idea sessions. You're going to be writing on napkins. You're going to come up with ideas. This is all happening weeks, months, years before the actual money comes through and an opportunity lands in your lap. But if you've uncovered a situation where there's a problem to be solved right now, they will find a way to work with you without putting it out on the street. Next slide, please. They're going to find a way to award it. They're going to grab your past performance, your best values, your case studies, and I can tell you right now that I live in the data every day. I look at contracts, and I see 1, 2 bids received, and then urgency is the reason, or unique source is the reason why it's only a handful of people. They're trying to find ways to limit the number of competition and to do this as quickly and quietly as possible. And all this conversation is happening behind the scenes without you. They know you, they want you, they've memorized your best values. They're just trying to figure it out. Next slide, please. So how do we build an under the radar opportunity? Well, we need to look at the data, the contracting data that's out there today to see who buys what you do and specifically how are they buying it. How many bids are they getting? Are they setting it aside? Are they finding ways to justify it? That data is out there. And then you're going to focus only on the locations where you see the most activity, and you're going to somehow find a wedge issue where you're unique from the other vendors. And if you can either obtain a contracting vehicle or work with a prime with that contracting vehicle, you're going to make it very easy to work with you. I have an old saying, you know, they want to work with people that follow protocols, make their job easy, and make them look good. If you do your homework on the front end, you're coming in clearly understanding how they do that, instead of the other way around going, hey, I want to do business with you. Give me business. And they're going, Fed Biz Ops. Why? Because they're just checking a box on their end. But if you've talked to them deeper about, it's my understanding you're working with XYZ vendor on a GSA schedule and that you've only had 2 bids for the last couple ones that you've done. I'm also on GSA schedule. And by the way, I'm an 8A company. So you might want to have a 3rd bid possibly for the next time you compete this. Or maybe there's a few little opportunities where we can work directly. It'll make it look good. So you can spread the love a little bit. So there's some really nice conversations that can happen when you've done your homework. Next slide, please. Then, based on your homework, you need to have a very finely tuned federal sales action plan around that agency. Clearly understanding what locations you need to develop relationships at, and you need to focus all your time on that instead of writing loser proposals. No more writing loser proposals. Spend all your time and effort building relationships. So many companies say to me, well, I'm writing that proposal because I want to get my foot in the door. And I say, well, if you put 4 people on a proposal effort for a month at $100 of billable hours each, that's $64,000. Why don't you just spend $250 on a Southwest flight over to them and stick your foot in their door? So spend your effort on sales activities, and you're going to get small opportunities. They're going to test you. They're going to try you. They're going to use a credit card. They're going to do what we call a simplified acquisition, 3 quick little market analysis bids, and give you a little project to see how you behave. And they're going to give you more and more and more. And you need an action plan to track your progress on these relationships. Because the first couple of people you're going to talk to, you're going to get rejected. And then you're going to get in there, then you're going to meet a couple of people, and it's going to go right back around to those first people that rejected you, and you're going to realize they really were the decision makers, and they're going to laugh. Yeah, remember 6 months ago when I blew you off? Yep, we need you. I'm the one. So you need to go through the full runaround. You need to be persistent and get to know them, and get to know them personally, and get to know them and their pains and their goals and their hopes and their dreams. Because when an opportunity comes up, they're not just going to say your company name, they're going to say your name. Hey, I want to go meet with Joe on XYZ. He's the expert. I want to meet with Jeannie on ABC because she's the best at, she told me, and we've been talking about it now for a while. You need to carve out a wedge issue and build your own opportunity. Just like an expert specialist, you find pain and you solve it. You give them ideas. Now, because you were there helping them kind of come up with some of these ideas, they're going to find a way to give it to you because you've developed a relationship based on trust. You've spent the time to get to know them. They've spent the time to get to know you. Have you ever gotten an invitation for an RFI or source of thought and it's due by tomorrow? I can almost guarantee you they have someone in mind and they're just simply finding a way to show the public they shopped. Someone else carved out that opportunity. So now it's going to be you building under the radar opportunities. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to thank Jennifer and all of you for allowing me the opportunity to talk a little bit about under the radar opportunities. And I would love to help you with your federal sales action plan. You can contact me at 312-636-5381. My email address is my personal email address. You can contact me anytime at eileenkentstevens@gmail.com. And I just want to thank you, Jennifer, for allowing me the opportunity to talk about under the radar opportunities. And I look forward to helping you carve out your next under the radar opportunity.
Thank you so much, Eileen. Fantastic information, as always. And I think you're going to be joining us again later in the season for another webinar. Again, thanks everybody for attending today. This session has been recorded. It will be posted later this afternoon on our YouTube channel. and by Friday on our website. Eileen's contact information is here on the screen. You can contact her directly for any questions that you might have. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. And next week, we are covering GSA schedules for product companies. The link to register for that webinar is on our website under the webinar tab. Thanks again, everybody.